Hi, I'm Bryce Button, Director of Product Marketing here at AJ Video Systems. It's wonderful to be back in Barcelona for ISE 2023. As you can see behind me, we've got a great, beautiful stand going on. It's been wonderful to see this many people back in person. Last year I would describe it as a slightly quieter year as the transition from Amsterdam to Barcelona went down, and of course people coming out of all the lockdowns. So it's great to be here on the stand. And if you're not here in Barcelona, by the way, you can always just go to aj.com to catch up on our latest news. And if you're running around the website, some suggested pages to go visit would be our news pages. We've been doing a lot of customer stories in the last year. We have a lot of great product news on the What's New page. And then you can always just go under solutions. So what are some of the solutions that we're highlighting here at ISE? Well, color management has been a big one for us for a long time. As you likely know, AJ is one of the biggest leading companies when it comes to SDR, HDR transitions, dealing with camera log materials that you're trying to transform into the correct color spaces, and then applying the most appropriate HDR protocols for final delivery. Obviously, streaming and everything else that has come out of COVID has led to huge demand. We're thrilled to have our newer Hilo Plus here. For those that don't know, a Hilo Plus, it's a self-contained recorder and streaming device. And for this newer model, we can actually do two sets of sources as well as two deliveries at the same time while recording. So you can get two streams out of it. Or you can get really creative, and within the box, we give you graphics tools. So you can do things like pictures in pictures, add lower thirds. If you're doing a smaller event, a church event, for instance, very easy to produce a slick looking piece. For education, this is wonderful too. You might have a presentation and an instructor, and you want to put up some text and information. You can do that all within the box. It's like you're almost getting a mini video mixer within it. So we have that. We have our Cirrus NDI box now, which is the Bridge NDI 3G. That allows up to 16 channels worth of translation between SDI baseband workflows and, of course, NDI, which is becoming a really popular and relatively inexpensive way to handle IP workflows. We also have 2110, so that is the higher end uncompressed video where you don't lose any picture quality at all. And we have our edge devices for that. So that's the ability to go to or from SDI, go over the network, 10G network in this case, and make sure that you get that securely to where it needs to go. We also have a lot of our I/O devices here. Thunderbolt 3, which is the basis for what's sitting in the Thunderbolt 4. With a lot more computers out today with that connection, this is pretty great. Gets you away from heavier desktop machines, especially with the kind of power you see today in Apple Silicon, for instance, in the MacBook Pro. You can be really creative off a laptop. So plugging into these I/O devices is extremely helpful. We've got our routers, because if you're doing bigger events, especially doing live events, you're likely going to need to plug in a lot of sources and cameras, and you want a decent router like the Kumo series, and we have those in 3G formats as well as 12G formats. Obviously, we have all our mini converters here. To this day, probably some of our most popular there are FIDOs, which allows you to expand your reach up to 10 kilometers, which is actually pretty important now that a lot more people are working with 4K, because you can do single cable SDI. It tends to be a shorter cable run, though, than what's doable under 3G, just because of all the material going on here. So we found a lot of clients have chosen to throw fiber connectivity into the mix now. So it's a wonderful time to be in the business, I think. The type of items and out-of-the-box thinking that has gone down throughout the COVID period has led to a lot more remote control needs. All our AJA major devices have built-in web servers, by the way. So it's easy to control them from almost anywhere, and you can access them on any web browser, on any platform. So to learn more again, please do visit aja.com. and we hope if you weren't able to join us this year, that you look to do so in 2024.